10 Most Famous Quotes from Aunt Lydia. Know your place. Soon you will be leaving us for new homes, a new family. And they won't judge you for your looks, or your clothes or your ability to sound clever. Aunt Lydia always uses language well. Alfred frequently challenges her, but there's always a justification why she can't physically harm or otherwise punish the handmaid. However, she frequently addresses Alfred as if she were her own daughter to ensure that she understands her position. She warns Alfred in this phrase that, despite the fact that she may have gotten away with things in her old house by charming the commander or using shrewd and witty words, that won't work in her new one. So be mature and respect authority. Be good, not perfect. One cannot let the perfect be the enemy of the good. After giving birth to her daughter, who soon becomes Mrs. Waterford's daughter, Alfred is left in a room, pumping breast milk to cart back to Serena to feed her baby. But her supply is running low, as it would be if the baby didn't suckle at your breast. Serena, on the other hand, isn't interested. She doesn't want Alfred to interact with her baby. When Aunt Lydia says they must respect those wishes, Alfred calls her out, saying she promised to look after the baby. Aunt Lydia's reaction expresses exactly how she feels. Serena is now the baby's mother. And, while having Alfred nurse would be ideal, it is up to the mother to make the final decision. Blessed day, my ass. Ah, blessed day. There are 3 words. Only 3. They are a regular greeting in Gilead, and there is nothing particularly unusual about these words. They actually sound fairly tasty. You may feel your skin crawl when Aunt Lydia goes into or out of a room uttering them. She isn't required to say much. But just her welcome tells you that something bad is about to happen, or has already happened. The world is ugly. The world can be quite an ugly place. But we cannot wish that ugliness away. We cannot hide from that ugliness. Aunt Lydia's backstory, presented in Season 3, reveals that she was dissatisfied with the state of the world even before entering Gilead. As a 4th grade teacher, she experienced neglectful parenting firsthand, and she was saddened that these women were blessed with children while so many other loving parents struggled. In her opinion, God punished society with infertility, and it is her role to herd fertile women like livestock, allocate them to families, and force them to have sexual relations with their husbands in order to bear children that the barren wives would then claim as their own. But, to her, that is the first step toward rebuilding a just and not an ugly world. You are here for a purpose. They were dirty women. They were sluts. But you are special girls. Fertility is a gift given right from God. He left you intact for a biblical purpose. You guys will serve the leaders of the faithful and their barren wives. You will bear children for them. Oh, you are so lucky. So privileged. Aunt Lydia sounds excited as she gives this horrifying lecture to the freshly hired handmaids, as if she were prepping them for a new semester of school and prepared to distribute donuts and coffee. But in reality, she was training them to be fully subservient, willing participants in having babies for other women. She thinks that this is the real use of handmaids, as stated. After all, it's the only explanation as to why God could have rendered so many other upright women infertile. Remember your scripture. Remember your scripture. Blessed are the meek. Aunt Lydia gently utters this line to put the handmaid back in her place when Alfred/June responds to her. She should recognize that being subservient is part of the handmaid's job. But Alfred, a frequent critic of Aunt Lydia, responds, "And blessed are those who suffer for the cause of righteousness, because theirs is the kingdom of heaven," taking it right back at her. When Serena informed Aunt Lydia that Alfred was pregnant, she immediately stopped her from beating Alfred with her cattle prod. Aunt Lydia didn't take well to this. No more sins. You won't want what you cannot have. It's not so much the sentence itself that is disturbing, but more the context in which she delivered it. After being sentenced to clitoridectomy as punishment for being what they refer to as a gender traitor, Aunt Lydia says these words to Alfred. Alfred was spared since she still had functioning ovaries and could carry children, a circumstance for which the penalty would often be death or exile to the colonies. Alfred's Aunt Lydia intended to ensure that she understood her responsibilities as a handmaid and would never again enjoy the experience, whether it be while performing the act for the family to whom she had been assigned or sneaking away for covert encounters with female lovers. On so many levels, it's frightening and repulsive. Society messed up. They made such a mess of everything. They filled the air with chemicals and radiation and poison. So, God whipped up a special plague. The plague of infertility. As birth rates fell, they made things worse. Birth control pills, morning after pills, murdering babies. Just so they could have their orgies, their Tinder. The way Aunt Lydia describes society before and after Gilead is accurate. And she thinks that because of all these heinous deeds, God punished women, and men, with infertility. It's odd that God didn't punish many of the women Aunt Lydia thinks are the biggest sinners, such as those who engaged in infidelity or were lesbians and still had children. She believes it's because they were created to be handmaids. She definitely holds the girls responsible. Gilead might not have had to exist if they hadn't been promiscuous, using dating apps like Tinder for one-night hookups, smoking, and doing drugs. Ungrateful girl. The most painful thing is not the betrayal of trust, June. Do you know what's most painful? The most painful thing in this entire ugly incident is the ingratitude. Aunt Lydia is more disappointed than anything when June/Alfred tries to flee. She feels that June is unaware of all that Gilead is doing for her. She is promoting universal good. Aunt Lydia seems to have missed the disgusting nature of making women carry and then promptly give up a kid after forcing them to have sex with men, while their wives sickeningly sit behind them to mimic that it's them being penetrated. Even though she is quick to physically beat the handmaids, she finds it difficult to understand why they do not appreciate her for anything she does. This will become ordinary. I know this must feel so strange, but ordinary is just what you're used to. This may not be ordinary to you now, but after a time it will. This will become ordinary. The fact that Aunt Lydia is somewhat correct in her statement is what makes it so terrifying. After living in a specific manner for a while, it becomes the usual. If the handmaids carry out their tasks as directed, given enough time, they might eventually forget what it was like to live in a free and democratic society. Aunt Lydia thinks that while what is occurring in Gilead is different from what the girls are used to, it is not necessarily wrong. They'll realize eventually, though, that it's entirely natural. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, then please like, share the video, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Also, check out our The Handmaid's Tale merch. The link is in the description.